paper was on this question. 17 marks. So let's start with the beginning of this. Tariq wants to advertise his gardening services. He's great, he's a great gardener. The activities involved and their durations are given there. Draw an activity network using activity on art to represent the project. Right, so I've got myself a little bit of space to do it here. I may struggle to fit it all on the board, but you've got to be careful with these. And we did, I got this right first attempt, but do have a bit of extra paper in case you need to have a couple of goes at this. So the first thing is, remember we need to have a clear start node. So our start node, we don't need to number them, but I'm going to, has A and B coming from it. A is of length 2 and B is of length 3. So let's put A and B. That's 3. That one is 2. Shh. Let's think about what happens next. Well, C depends upon B, and then these ones depend on A and C. So we need to get C joining together. C is of length 2, so I had C coming up to join that there at that point. We've then got E, D and G. E, D and G all depend upon A and C, so they're going to come off that event 2. Thinking about those, what's that? D, E and G. We've got F that we need to have coming in here. H is a funny one because H is just going to come from, depending on event B and going right to the end. So H just does that. So what are the others? I had E coming up here of length 5. I had D coming out here of length 3. And G coming down here of length 2. And now at this point we're going to need a dummy, because what we've got is that F depends on D, but I depends on D and G. So if we think about where the dummy needs to go, what we're up to is this 3 and 4. The dummy needs to come down here. And which way does it need to go? Well, we've got one that just depends on D, and one depends on both. So the dummy has to be directed, and it has to come down like that. We've then got I depending on G and D. So I is coming off here of length 4. We've got F, just depends on D, of length 3. And we've got J that depends upon just E. And that gives us our finish event of 6. And that's it done. That's the activity network. And there's quite a few ways you could draw this. This bit could be flipped upside down. You could have this bit up at the top and that one coming down there. There's lots of ways you could draw it, but that's the basic structure. One dummy, and the dummy must have a direction on it. Don't draw a dummy without having a direction. There we go. That was, I think we gave 2 marks, did we, for that? Yeah. And then it said, carry out a forward and backward scan, state your critical path and what your total completion time is. So this is where we put our little boxes on here. And we need to work through all of this bit now. I've got one down there. Okay, so being really, really careful with this, we're going to put a 0 in there. Now let's work in order. 0 plus 3 means that must be 3. Up here, we've got the greater of 0 plus 2 or 3 plus 2. So that must be 5. We can't reach event 2 until B and C have both happened. We've then got here, this is the next one to look at, 5 plus 3 gives us 8. Down here at event 4, we've got 8 plus 0 or 5 plus 2. Now 5 plus 2 is 7, but 8 plus 0 is bigger than that, so that's still going to be 8. I need to fill in this one. This is 5 plus 5, so that gives me 10 up at the top there. And here I've got a choice of 10 plus 1, which is 11, or 8 plus 3, which is also 11, or 8 plus 4, which is 12, or 3 plus 3, which is 6. I need to make sure I can't get there until everything's finished, so the biggest of those was 12. Now when we do the backward scan, we start with the same number there, and then be really careful checking it back. So 12 take 1 is 11. That's the only thing that comes out of 5, so it's the only thing we need to check. There's only that one coming out of event 4. So 12 take 4 is 8, that must be 8. That one has got 2 coming out of it, so we need to check both paths going in. 12 take 3 is 9, but 8 take 0 is 8, so that must be an 8 as well. We're now back to this one. We've got 3 things that came out of event 5. 11 take 5 is 6, 8 take 3 is 5, and 8 take 2 is 6. But on the way back we choose the smallest one, so that must be 5. Here, well here we've got 12 take 3, which is 9, but also we've got 5 take 2, which is 3. So that one has to be 3, because we're choosing the smaller one. And now we've got our check. This should give us 0 at the end. 3 take away 3 is 0. So we're back to the start. So that's the forward scan and the backward scan, and 1 mark for getting them both correct. So method marks in each direction and an accuracy mark for it being perfect. How long is the whole thing? It's 12 hours. And this is where we need to be a bit careful. What are the critical activities in this? And that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because that's 0, 0 and that's 5, 5. So you may be thinking A is critical, but it's not. Because 0 plus 2 isn't 5. 0 plus 3 is 3. So that one is definitely critical. 3 plus 2 is 5. 0 plus 2 isn't 5, so that one wasn't. 3 plus 3 isn't 12. 5 plus 2 isn't 8. 5 plus 3 is 8. So we went that way. 8 plus 3 isn't 12, but 8 plus 0 is 8. So that was critical, that dummy. And so this must be 8 plus 4 gives us 12. That was the other critical one. Just checking, yeah, that wasn't a critical event because they weren't the same numbers. So there we go. We've got it as being, what did we just say? B, C, D, and I as our critical path. Right now, the question got a little bit puzzling. Tarek does not have time to complete all the activities on his own, so he gets help from his friend Sally. Very kind of her. Now, we've got to read this really, really carefully here. She can help with any of the activities, but not C, H and J. If they share an activity, the time it takes is reduced by 1 hour. Sally can also do F, G or I on her own. Describe how Tarek and Sally should share the work so that activity D can start 5 hours after the start of the project. Okay. So let's think about this. What can they do together, what can they not? Well, the first thing is, she can't help Tarek with C. She can have no involvement with C. That's got to be him on his own. She can share with the others, and she can do any of F, G or I on her own, but A and B she can share. So that's going to have to be how they do it. They're going to have to share A and B, and then put in that other one on their own. So what can we do? Our answer to this one, part 3 we're on now. Sally will share A and B. So that means A takes 1 hour, B takes, well, it would now take 2 hours, wouldn't it? So that's 3 hours done there. And then Tarek can do C on his own, which takes 2 hours. Giving us a total of 5 hours spent doing it. There we go. Part 4. Again, the question is getting pretty complicated by now. Show that if Sally does as much of the work as she can, she will be busy for 18 hours. In this case, for how many hours will Tarek be busy? So we had to show that she would be busy for 18 hours. Right. So what have we got? Working out, from what it said in that thing, it said that she can do F, G and I on her own. Okay, well F, G and I, that is 3 hours plus 2 hours plus 4 hours, which is a total of 9 hours. If that's what she's doing, she can also share all the others that she can share, which are A, B, D and E. They're the ones that are available for sharing. And if you reduce each of those times by 1 hour, from what it originally said, that is 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4. So that is 9 hours, which gives us her total of 9 plus 9, which is 18 hours. In the meantime, Tarek is doing 3 of them on his own, because they're the ones that Sally can't contribute to. So that is 2 plus 3 plus 1, which is 6 hours. And we've just worked out that the shared ones come to 9 hours. Which gives us 15 hours of work for him to do in total. Well, it's just 1 mark for doing that last bit. So 2 marks for that bit, and 1 for the last description of what Tarek does. It is a bit stingy on the marks, isn't it? If you think of the core 1 paper that we did this week, where you were getting, you know, a mark for writing 2 over root x is 2x to the minus a half.
Something to do like that.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Right, keep quiet. Part 5. What did part 5 say? Explain why if Sally is busy for 18 hours, she will not be able to finish until more than 18 hours from the start. How soon after the start can Sally finish when she's busy for 18 hours? Well, actually, we've kind of already answered this, haven't we? Because when we did the earlier part of this question, we said that those first few activities, that first little flurry of what's going on here, we've got this point here, 5 hours into it, that all of these ones have to wait until A, B and C are all completed. And that 5 hour bit that we were talking about had them sharing 2 activities and Tarek doing 1 on his own. So she has to wait while he does that 1 on his own until the rest of them can start. So she's got that 2 hour waiting time in there. She must wait for 2 hours while Tarek does C. That's in part 3 of what we did. After A and B, for 2 hours, while he gets C done. So she can start D after 5 hours, and then she's got the ones that come after 5 hours to go, whichever way you work it out now, it's going to be 20 hours, isn't it? That's the 18 that she did have, but she's got this 2 hours waiting time, so it's 20 hours. I actually put a little bit more detail here. I said that after that, she's going to do 2, E and D, which are 2 plus 4, and F, G and I, which is 3 plus 2 plus 4. So she's got another 15 hours of work to do after the 5 hours at the start, which again gives us 20 hours total. Last bit. Describe how Tarek and Sally can complete the project together in 18 hours or less. So this is now, we're not saying that she has to do all of the work that she can do. We're going to split it up differently. How can they do it in 18 hours or less? Well, actually, there are quite a few different ways that you could do this. There are 10 possible answers for this. 10 possible combinations of work that would do it. The one that I did, well, all of them involve that same thing happening at the start. So we're going to share A and B, and then Tarek does C, and that's 5 hours. Whatever happens, that takes us 5 hours to begin with. So we're now going to work out what else happens. I put it down as being, they then share D and E. Which is another 6 hours. And then I had Tarek doing G, H, J, which takes him 6 hours. I've got Sally doing F and then I, and I will tie in because she'll have finished, he will have finished G, I needs to depend on G, and that takes 7 hours. But of course they're doing these alongside each other, so the total is the 6 hours plus the 5 hours plus 6 hours that they're sharing, plus the 7 hours that it takes Sally to finish there, gives us a total of 18 hours. As I say, there are 10 different answers to that. All of them involve A, B and C taking 5 hours to start with, and then some sharing of other things and non-sharing of other things. In fact, there is one way of doing it where they don't share at all. If they do A, B and C, and then Tarek does D, E, H and J, and Sally does F, G and I, then they get it all done in 18 hours without any sharing. There you go.